Quadratic functions. Quadratic functions have x with its exponent to the second degree. I'll further explain quadratic functions as I go through growth. Growth refers to the graph, rule, words, and table of a function. The graphs of quadratic functions are called parabolas, which are symmetrical U-shaped lines. Now, there are two forms or rules or equations for quadratic functions. First, there is the standard form, which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Then there is vertex form, which is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Standard form is the general form for quadratic functions, while vertex form simply identifies the vertex. Now, when looking at the standard form, we see that a's value or constant cannot be 0. If it is 0, it would turn the equation into a linear function. Linear functions do not have x with an exponent to the second degree, making it not a quadratic function. Moving on with growth, we'll go through words. An architect has to build an arch that is 50 feet high and 40 feet wide. Create an equation for this arch. For this, we'll use the vertex form. Here I identified the vertex, which is 2050. The vertex will always be placed at half the length of the parabola. This parabola is 40 feet wide, divide that by 2, it's 20. 20 will be represented by h, and 50 will be represented by k. Now our origin is 0, 0, which will be represented by x and y. Now let's plug that into our equation. We now have 0 equals a times 0 minus 20 squared plus 50. That turns into 0 equals a times 400 plus 50. Subtract 50 from both sides, and you get negative 50 equals a times 400. Now we want a by itself, so we divide it by 400 on both sides, and we get a equals negative 1.25. Last step is to plug it back into the equation. Now, table is the last term in growth. I made a table for this previous equation with the inputs of negative 2 to positive 2. Tables simply state different inputs and outputs for different equations or functions. Now, how do we shift a parabola? We use the vertex form. Let's look at y equals negative 2 times x minus 2 squared plus 2. Here you can see which numbers represent h and k. Now, to shift the parabola from left to right, we would change h's value. So let's change that to a 4. To move the parabola up or down, we would change k's value. Let's change that to a 3. And there's our new vertex. But what does a do? A represents how narrow or compressed the parabola will be. The absolute value of 2 would give you a narrow parabola. But if we change a to an absolute value of less than 1, then the parabola will be compressed. And there's your new shifted graph. Thank you for watching.